I guess hope all of us are doing great. In our discussion today, we are going to look at one of the characteristics or the implication of a transversal. Now, we had said that a transversal basically is going to be a line that is going to cut two specific lines which are going to lie in the same plane. And we say that these lines may basically intersect or not. So suppose we have two lines for uh, I and M. And if there's a line that is cutting through them, then therefore we're going to refer to this line as a transversal. So if we have this specific line cutting through this pair of lines, we're going to end up with a number of angles which we can be able to describe as A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, H. And these specific angles are going to have different names, but we can see that from these specific illustrations, we can be able to have angles which are going to be located in the interior part with respect to these specific lines, and the others are going to be located at the exterior part with this respect to lines for I and M respectively. So therefore we are going to have these specific angles having different names, and these angles can be given in terms of either exterior or interior angles. So for angles which are located within the lines of I and M, we can be able to see that angles C, D, E, and F are located within the lines A and M, and therefore these are going to be referred to as interior angles, whereas angle A, B, G, and F are going to be located at the exterior parts of these two specific lines for I and M, and these are going to be referred to as exterior angles respectively. So whenever we're going to draw this specific transversal with respect to these particular lines, and we mention the concept of interior or exterior angles, they are going to be interior or exterior with respect to these two specific lines respectively. If we try to look at this, we can be able to have a relationship between these perhaps exterior or interior angles. Now, if we consider an angle such as the one that I've circled, it's going to be on the top right hand of the corner of this specific intersection. And of course, we're going to see that if you consider F is going to be an interior angle, so this is going to be an exterior angle with respect to M, but this is going to be an interior angle with respect to the position of M and I at this specific point for this, of course, transversal. So this point, this specific angle, then therefore, which is an exterior part of this angle or this top corner for the right hand side, and of course for the top right hand side of this specific line F, we are going to have angle F. So with respect to positions, we're going to consider angle I or angle B and F as corresponding angles. Therefore, we're going to refer to angle B and F as corresponding angles, and these are going to give us a point of trying to describe other specific angles so that we can be able to look at this, which are going to form different corresponding pairs from this specific aspect. So if we look at C and G, so we can be able to name them. If we have B and F as corresponding angles, we can as well have other angles like C and G. So this C and G are going to be corresponding, and then we're going to have A and E. So angle A and E are going to be corresponding angles, and lastly we're going to have angle D and H as corresponding angles. So these are going to be angles that are going to be appearing on the top right of this. So this is going to be in respect to these two specific lines. So for the top right corner of this line M, I'm having B. For the top right corner of this I, I'm having F. So this is a corresponding angle to this. And using that specific analogy for this specific, the bottom right corner of this specific M, I'm going to have D. The bottom, of course, right corner of this specific angle, I'm going to have H. So D and H are going to be corresponding angles in that specific respect. And angles on the opposite sides of these specific transversals are going to be referred to as alternate angles. And in this case, we're going to consider the case of the interior part and the exterior part of this specific illustration. So therefore, we can be able to look at D and E as alternate alternate angles. But if you look at D and E, they are interior, so therefore they are going to form an aspect of interior alternate angles. And we can be able to give an example of an alternate angle, which is an exterior angle. For instance, if we consider A and H, of course, they are going to be alternate exterior angles respectively. So in this case, this is going to be just give us a rough illustration of various angles that we are going to come across insofar as alternate angles and corresponding angles are concerned. So I've said basically that the angles, the transversal is going to, of course, whenever the transversal is going to cut across the two lines of in the same plane for I and M, they're going to form different ranges of angles. And we say that the angles that are lying between I and M are going to be referred to as interior angles. And this constitutes C, D, E, F, and of course angles which are going to lie outside the two specific lines. Whenever a transversal passes through this one are going to be referred to as exterior angles. And therefore we can go further and try to give a specific illustrations for these particular angles, whereby we're going to see that we can be able to, insofar as position is concerned, at the top right hand corner we are going to have an angle B for this specific line M, and the top right hand for I we are going to have F. Therefore B and F sorry for that, are going to be regarded as corresponding angles, and in that particular case we can have different pairs of corresponding angles for G, C, and of course G, and of course other various angles that I've listed above. And then lastly, we said that we can be able to have what we refer to as alternating angles, and these are going to be angles which are going to be opposite of a transversal line. For instance, I've given an example for D and E, and of course C and F, which are going to form a range of alternate angles for interior and exterior angles that we have listed above. So I hope that we have understood the concept of alternate angles and the corresponding angles as we have illustrated in this specific example. So that is it for now, guys. Catch us in our next video. Bye. God bless you.